So Tyson Fury, the man with the gut of a 1970s darts player, the face of Jason Statham after a severe car accident, and the boxing ability of a juiced-up kangaroo who's been on the wild boar meat, has today angered Muslims all over the world by expressing his support for a far-right fascist regime. Now, in case you don't know, Tyson Fury holds a version of the heavyweight championship of the world and is widely spoken about as one of the most naturally talented boxers on the planet. But unfortunately, boxing ability doesn't appear to translate into brain capacity, because if we're honest, this guy appears to be about as dumb as a mute working class Tory voter, fam. I mean, this guy is so stupid, someone told him that having an IQ below 70 qualifies you for an intellectual disability, and my man's response was,
below 70? Is that in Fahrenheit or Celsius, mate?
Now, I don't know if you've seen the news recently, but it's all kicking off again in the Middle East, and more specifically in Israel. Now, I'm not going to go into exactly what's happening here, because that'll get this video taken down, but I'm pretty sure you can go and research what's happening for yourself. And basically, what Tyson Fury did is he gave his support to the oppressors in the situation, which is actually very surprising considering his previous stance on the matter. Now, obviously, Tyson Fury has caused a massive uproar on the internet once again, but I honestly don't know why people are surprised. This is a man who's made openly homophobic statements before, a man who's been misogynistic and sexist on a number of occasions, and weirdly, considering his latest post, been openly anti-Semitic on video.
Follow everybody like sheep, be brainwashed by all this people who own all the banks, all the papers, all the TV stations.
But you know what? I do agree with some of these people, because the happily married family man Tyson Fury is very lovely to some of his female fans out there and stuff, so he must have a good side somewhere, innit, fam? But you know what baffles me most about this entire situation, right? Tyson Fury is about to fight Anthony Joshua for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world, and the location for that fight is going to be in Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia is the country which houses a city called Mecca, which is literally the most holy city in all of Islam, and a country which Muslims have to flock to at least once in their life to complete a pilgrimage to said holy city of Mecca. Now, Tyson Fury is going to be fighting in that country, yet here he is standing with some of the biggest oppressors of Muslims on the entire planet. So part of me wonders if this isn't some kind of publicity stunt, because we all know Tyson Fury loves to play the villain of the piece. And if it is that, it's one of the biggest scumbag moves I've ever seen anyone do in my life, fam. Now, I'm not saying that is what he's doing, because as I mentioned, Tyson Fury isn't exactly the sharpest tool in the box, but if he is doing that, he's an absolute wanker. And also, another thing I want to address is the reason that certain deluded people have been posting the sort of stuff that Tyson Fury has been posting, and also the reason why people have been coming out with some anti-Semitic tropes and stuff like that, which are equally as unhelpful. And I think that's best explained by this Facebook post I made the other day, so check it out.
History will look at the actions of Israel and Palestine and hang its head in shame. For fear of breaching the very real boundary of anti-Semitism, people are afraid to make valid criticism of an oppressive far-right regime. The thing people don't realize is that true Zionism isn't reliant on the destruction of the Palestinian state or the Palestinian people. This regime have just chosen to take it that way. There was always the option of establishing Israel alongside and collaboratively with Palestine. This regime are despots and criminals masquerading as politicians. Ban them all!
But anyway, back to Tyson Fury. Predictably, after he posted what he did in his Instagram stories, the internet kicked off like a football match and began cancelling Tyson Fury like a festival during COVID, fam. So what did Tyson Fury actually do to provoke this kind of reaction from the internet? And to find that out, we need to talk about some quite complex information in a very simple way. So we're going to make an effort at that right now. Check it out. So basically, what we need to do is we need to go all the way back to the Second World War. Actually, no, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the completely fictional war called the Second Global Conflict of Narnia. And in the Second Global Conflict of Narnia, what happened was a group of elves, let's say, were subjected to some of the worst torture Narnia had ever seen. And those elves were almost completely eradicated from the face of Narnia. Now, after the end of the Second Global Conflict of Narnia, the oppressed elves were liberated, but no longer had a home to go go back to due to the fact that the evil orcs had seized all of their property and kicked them out of their homes. Therefore, the Global Council of Narnia decided the best thing to do would be to give these oppressed elves a new home somewhere, but the only problem with that is the land that they chose already had some different kind of elves living in it. Now, those elves called the Palestinians were completely happy to let these new elves come to live with them and share their land because they understood the terrifying situation these oppressed elves were coming from. Now, the oppressed elves, otherwise known as the Realizis, began to share the land of the Palestinians in a peaceful manner, and everyone got along fine for a couple of years. But then, unfortunately, the Realizis then decided to elect a fascist far-right government who began to enact a policy of forcibly removing the Palestinians from their properties and forcing them to live in a tiny area of their own country called the Zaga Strip. Now, the Palestinians at this point were completely powerless because the Realizis were backed by the governments of the Global Council of Narnia and had superior weaponry and an army, where the Palestinians were not even an official state anymore, so they couldn't defend themselves. So then you get to today, and the fascist far-right government of the Realizis have continuously oppressed the Palestinians for the last 50 years. And unfortunately, this has resulted in a tit-for-tat conflict where one side is using guerrilla warfare to defend itself and the other side are using an oppressive army, and the world looks on in complete horror, being brainwashed by propaganda which is completely demonizing the Palestinians. So what you're left with is an incredibly complex conflict between two sides with no resolution in sight, which is incredibly sad. So basically, that's the completely fictional situation you've got going on right now in the completely fictional realm of Narnia. So once you understand that completely fictional story, you begin to see why anyone coming out in support of the oppressive regime is going to be kind of looked down upon by anyone who isn't brainwashed by the propaganda peddled to us by the mainstream media in this completely fictional land of Narnia. Yeah, just a quick update, guys. Tyson Fury's just posted this video, so I thought I'd share it here in the interest of being impartial and whatnot. I personally don't believe it, but yeah, let me know what you think.
This is Tyson Fury. Just a quick post. Last night I went on Instagram and I found a political post on my story. So whoever's on my story, get the fuck off there, you little bastards.
But anyway, when it comes to Tyson Fury, this isn't surprising. We already knew he was a massive bigot, but despite that, he's a bit of a charmer and he's managed to convince everyone that he's a decent guy, despite the fact that he continually and repeatedly keeps saying stuff which proves him to be the opposite. But anyway, I guess that about wraps it up for today. If you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Smash that like button and turn notifications on by clicking that notification bell so you can see more videos like this one. So yeah, once again, thank you all for watching and I'll see you next time. And